All right. Well, hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I'd like to just like to give you guys an update on what's been going on here, and I got a guest right here, a special guest who is going to be sitting with us, and this is going to be like a lot of Q&A stuff about the program getting in, and so just wanted to give you guys also an update. It's been as of last Friday, I just became a certified flight instructor, and this guy over here is about to become a private pilot. So,
yeah, pretty
yeah,
fresh.
super awesome stuff. And so, anyways, I know it's been a while since I've chatted with you guys about giving you guys an update through flight school, and unfortunately, it's just been a little bit challenging giving you guys the update on what's been going on, just because I've been super busy. So I will make a separate video, just kind of a quick run through, rapid fire of just what to expect in flight school and whatnot. But I'm sure you guys will hear a little bit of our raw conversation here about, just life flight school. And really what we're going to be chatting about today is just going through the process of getting into the Ascend Pilot Academy with Horizon Air, Alaska Airlines. So anywho, we'll be focused more on what my friend Connor here has to share. And yeah, so thank you guys for joining us, and we'll just go ahead and get started. So Connor, welcome to the video, man.
Heck yeah.
Welcome to the chat. And so just tell me a little bit about yourself, a little bit of your background, and then we'll just kind of get into, how did you find out about the Ascend Pilot Academy?
Dude, first of all, congratulations. CFI, big CFI.
Stop.
You're at where I want to be down the road. But how I first came across this guy right here, his YouTube channel, throughout his whole process, going through flight training, saw his application process, came across those videos while I was applying for Ascend myself. I applied last November, last fall quarter, and went through the application process, and this guy's videos definitely helped me out, gave me some insight on what to expect, and yeah, the authenticity was very helpful from what I went through with my application process. But yeah, now I'm here. This guy under his wing, it's been great.
Sure. Well, so what motivated you to want to become a pilot? Like, why did you choose that? When did you realize you wanted to become a pilot? Was it when you were a little kid, or just tell me a little bit more, kind of a little bit your childhood dream?
Seems pretty common for a lot of people, but the aviation bug that people would get, it just clicks, right? Me, at a very young age, my father worked as a firefighter at Port of Seattle Fire Department.
Okay.
Whenever visiting his work when I was young, seeing the big boy planes over there, Alaska was always my dream, and yeah, that's where I definitely caught that aviation bug. Didn't know how I was going to get there, but finally here, getting after what I want to do, and yeah, it's definitely an honor, definitely a blessing, yeah.
No, I can absolutely relate. I would say growing up in the Olympia, Seattle area as a little kid, I'd always drive up to go see some family who lived in Seattle, and every time we drive up, and you know how Olympia, Tacoma, Seattle is, it's always overcast, right? Ceilings for the clouds are usually about 500 feet to 1,000 feet. It's always just kind of white and gray, right? And when the sun came out, it was always nice, but 75% of the time living in the Washington area, it was always overcast and kind of gloomy. But I would drive by the airport on I-5, especially going through SeaTac, and I'd just always see those planes taking off because the runways from the airport would always parallel I-5.
So beautiful.
And so I'd always watch the airplanes coming in and then taking off, going into the clouds, or I see them popping out of the clouds, and it's a gloomy, rainy day. And as a little kid, I didn't get on my first airplane until I was 7, but before that, I would just sit there and be in awe and wonder of, like, that'd be such a cool experience just to be that guy in the flight deck going
100%.
up and controlling such a beautiful machine like that.
Absolutely.
And just always be in wonder of, like, how does that thing actually fly? This hunk of metal, it has wings clearly, right? But how does it make it fly, right? I'm always curious about these kinds of things, also just because I'm one of those people where I'm behind closed doors, I'm just a secret nerd that I don't want anybody to know about. So it was always fascinating to me.
Different backgrounds for many people, yeah.
Yeah,
Why
and
people
so
get interested, for sure.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because even back then we had Northwest Airlines that existed, and we had Alaska, so those are the main logos I would see out of SeaTac. I don't think you were around when Northwest still
Dude,
existed.
yeah.
I was very young when Northwest existed, and I think that was my first airplane. Our first airliner I flew on when I was a little kid was Northwest Airlines, and I think it was a Boeing 757. Did a flight to Minnesota, and I'll tell you, the 7.5, that is absolutely, it's an amazing airplane.
That's great.
And anyways, I remember it was a nice rainy day. I know, and this is kind of actually something, by the way, in the the final interview here with Alaska, I actually shared this kind of experience. I didn't tell him it was Northwest, but trying to be careful with my words here. But the thing as a little kid, this is what really struck me, and this is like what really fueled the passion. I think a lot of people, especially who pursue aviation, is it's that rainy, gloomy day, and you just never seen what it was like above the clouds. And I just remember the first takeoff, the power of the engines, the roar of the Pratt and Whitney screaming at you, or the CFMs just screaming at you, and you're just like, oh, this is crazy. The plane getting thrown forward, feels like 1,000,000 miles an hour is down the runway, and then you just pitch up, and you're just like, holy moly, we're actually flying, the stomach drop feeling, and then you go punching in the clouds, and you're like, whoa, how do we get through this? And then next thing, you pop above, and it's just blue skies, it's beautiful.
Visually, never forget it, yeah.
It's like that visual of heaven right there, and I go, so this is what it's like. And that right there was what really, got me going. It gave me the bug, and ever since, it was always a dream. And that was honestly, that was probably the number one thing I think that got me in with the Ascend Pilot Academy, because what they're really looking for, I've come to find out, is why did you choose them? Why do you want to be a pilot? Right? And I would say the majority of people do it because they love flying. Where there's a handful out there who do it for money, but only very few with that mentality make it through. Just because aviation in itself is a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment. Obviously, my friend, you got a long journey, and
definitely do.
And so before we kind of get into the more of the structured side of things of getting into the Ascend program here, I would say, like, so far with your private pilot training, so what have you learned so far in flight school? What were some things that you never thought you would expect in flight school, or what did you see that you didn't think was going to be a thing, right? Or what was your experience?
Absolutely, yeah. Coming in, I am going to be first generation pilot. Do your research for sure. The biggest thing was definitely the difference between 141 style training and 61. That was the biggest eye opener, especially within these cadet programs you may come across. They are literally guiding and governing you towards an airline. So there's going to be a specific syllabus guidelines that they will have for good reason. So that was great insight. And yes, there is differences between Part 61 training, 141, but I am loving it how I'm going through it as of now throughout private. Yeah.
Did you ever take any prior training before you got into Ascend or came to HAA?
I did not. I know I was trying to. I formerly did line service back up north for a local FBO, seeing all the Part 61 kids flying, soloing so early. I was like, okay, I just want to get up in the air.
Sure.
But decided to wait, wanted to come in fresh, have a clean slate they could just build off of, and yeah.
No, that's good. I would say the same for me. I started Part 141 even before I even got into the Ascend Pilot Academy at the very flight school where we have it at. And so what I was actually asking a little bit more is, so when you came to flight school, right, it's a whole different environment for me, right? You're away from home, about 6 hours away from home.
Yeah.
And so coming into flight school, right, we all have this vision of, okay, it's going to be a ground class, pass your test, get an A+, C+, right, or whatever it is. But of course, it doesn't really work quite.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it does work that way in a sense, but not quite.
Not entirely.
As far as that goes. But what I was asking is, what were some of the things you expected? Did you expect it to be okay, yeah, this is something I can, digest pretty quickly and get through, or oh my gosh, this is like drinking through a fire hose. I didn't expect this to happen. I didn't expect maybe to do stalls, within the third or fourth flight, right?
There we go.
Just some of the expected and unexpected parts of flight training. What surprised you? What got your attention?
Yeah.
Versus what you thought it was going to be like.
Yeah, there it is. That analogy I heard several times throughout the application process. It's going to be like drinking from a fire hose. Definitely a huge load of information that you are given through the first couple of weeks. It can be very overwhelming if you let it overwhelm you. It is absolutely true. You do got to treat this training as a full-time job here. Absolutely, 1,000,000%, or else you would lag behind. But getting yourself exposed to what you can before you come in, so things just click a bit better.
Sure.
But definitely that was the biggest thing, drinking through a fire hose those first couple of weeks, and then finding my flow, my pattern, my rhythm, where, when I'm going to study. That was the biggest thing. Just, it is, you got to treat it like it is part of your lifestyle, it is part of your routine, it is a job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I agree. It's one thing. I mean, starting out private training, it was not what I expected. It was a lot of information, a lot of cramming, and just really having to put in the effort. And you kind of question, and this is kind of standard. A lot of us tend to feel this way too. I mean, you just kind of question, like, is this the right place for me? So, coming from a guy like me who's 31 here, and how old are you?
I'm 19.
19, right? So, you got out of high school not too long ago here.
Yeah, last year.
So, like, studying isn't really, and doing homework, right? I mean, obviously it's a huge step up in flight school for sure, right? It's a lot more work, right? But it's kind of more at your discretion.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, where like a guy like me who hasn't been in school in over 10 years. So,
one thing that did come easier for me, that's something that I'm actually passionate about, so I want to study this, right? So that made it a lot easier. Maybe not easier, but like, yes, I will actually put myself to the grindstone, and I don't want to be studying an elective in college.
sure.
I don't need to, that won't be applicable too far out in my life, but yeah, studying, doing what I actually want to do, so that's keeps the passion going, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you're kind of in a great position right now. I know you've got a fiance for your age. Congratulations, by the way. But other than that, you've got a pretty good, I would say, good step in, for you, and just, living and breathing and eating and sleeping aviation, right? Where, a guy like me who, who's married here and, has had a past life over here, so switching gears and transitioning. So there's like pros and cons, to, the older adults, getting into this and changing careers, which there's nothing wrong, by the way. There's a guy actually who I followed on YouTube who actually was the final inspiration to help me in the decision-making process of, if you can change careers and you want to be a pilot and that's what you want to do, go for it. And he's 53 years old. Well, he started at 53. Obviously, it's been a couple of years now. If for you guys that don't know, I may have brought his name up in the past videos. Trent Deersmid with Fly with Trent. He's a great resource if you guys are interested in pursuing aviation. He's got a lot of good information out there, and just essentially guiding you on what direction you guys want to go through. And so for us, we're obviously in the airline pathway program, and I'll create a separate video about that. And I may just even reference his video of, like, is an airline pathway program ideal for your situation? Is it for everyone? Answer is no, not necessarily, right? There are many ways to get into aviation. You don't necessarily have to go through the airline route, obviously, like we are. But anyways, that's a different conversation for a different day, and, for time's sake, so. But anyways, well, awesome. So yeah, now we got to share a little bit with you guys, just kind of our backgrounds here, and now let's just try to get into more of just getting started, right? So obviously you guys see in my previous videos of just raw, unedited stuff of what I started doing. So getting into the application process, like how do you apply for the Ascend Pilot Academy, and what's the interview process? How does that all work? And what's the contract? How does all of that work? So at least with me, right, because I came in 2024 and you came in right in 2026.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's been a couple of years since the application process, may have changed a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
So for me, so the only way I found out was through a friend of mine that this program was going on. So I visited the flight school that hosted the Ascend Pilot Academy, of course, and they gave me the information. They had a talent acquisitioner, the rep from Alaska, come in every other Tuesday, and he would sit down just to check in with everyone, say hi to everyone at the school, and I got to sit down with him and ask questions, and And so he gave me all the information. The whole process is that we apply online. So if you go to Alaska's website, you'll look up the Ascend Pilot Academy. They'll have a little bit of information on it, but you won't see much of it until the application actually opens. Now, the only way I found out when they were going to open this application up was I talked to the TA, and he said, okay, so we open the application every quarter, right? And so he opened it. He told me it was going to open up on March 1st, and it was only going to be open for 7 days. And he said, if I were you, get that application in with your resume and all that stuff, have it ready, and submit it the midnight it pops up on March 1st. And this was back in 2024, of course. So what did I do? I waited till midnight and I put it in, so that way my application can be looked at first, because it is really a first come, first served basis. And also, how many applications go through, I mean, it's a lot. So, I mean, that's a lot to go through, and I can't imagine being in these guys' shoes, like just going through application after application, and then going through the selection process. So it is a first come, first served basis, right? Because then it shows that you made this a priority. So I think that's like part of the interview process, where it's, if you're putting in the work now, right, the stuff that you don't think that they're seeing, they're watching you, and that's something I got to be able to get a little insider information on. So obviously did the application process, and then they sent me after that they sent me like the cognitive test. And what was that test called? I can't remember off the top of my head.
It was a psych test of some sort.
Yeah, it was like it was like that personality test. I can't remember off the top of my name, but
they just wanted to make sure you were saying, not changing questions,
Well, yeah, so I don't know, gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, it's this like software that they use, and it's from the UK or something like that, I can't remember, based on what it was. So they sent me this like psychology test. So if you guys know, just text me in the comments. You guys might be able to refresh my brain. It's been a minute, so. But anyway, so it like has a series of like questions. It was a lot of questions.
How many questions was in yours? I think mine had like 300.
Mine was probably close to that, I think. Yeah. I don't know. It's been a minute. I know it was a lot of questions, and it was incredibly... it was a little scary for me, I'll be honest with you, because they'd be there, okay, like I don't want to say the wrong answer. A lot of my stuff was neutral because I wasn't sure how to answer it.
Yeah.
But then they would like shy away from it and go somewhere else, and then they would bring it back.
Yeah, could you give an example of one of those questions?
And then
I know some of them
like,
were silly.
Oh yeah, so I don't know, like just keep in mind Alaska's watching, so just be careful what you say.
I got you.
So I can't remember, but they would say like, okay, so if you were, I don't know, I can't think of some at the top of my head.
Yeah, just your.
But you would shy away from a question about something personal, right? I don't think it had anything really to do with politics. I think it
was just your.
I think there was one like about a diversity one of some sort where they go, oh, okay, so how do you feel about this person or this religion? I can't remember, something along those lines. Nothing crazy, but it was a very sensitive subject. And then you would be like, I'm just neutral, I'm respectful, like, I'm not to strongly agree or strongly disagree. And they'd be like, oh, okay, so you move on. And then all of a sudden they come back later and just see if you change your answer.
That's exactly
because they want to tell if you're a liar or you're...
trying to play a game.
Or if you're, truly sincere, so...
Bipolar.
Bipolar, yeah, that's good. So I went through all that good stuff, and then they gave us this cognitive test. So it's like a video game. It's like this little old school arcade game with this airplane, and so it had all the bells and whistles. Oh, let me know when you hear the bells. Okay, so what airport was this? And you were flying this airplane, and then you were having to multitask with hitting all these like different like dots and squares. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain until you actually go through it. And it's a hand-eye coordination test. It's a multitask test essentially. Is what you guys would take. And of course they don't grade you on it, right? You have no idea what they're going to think, so you just do it, and then that's it, right? And they give you a certain amount of time. I think is the longer you stayed in it, and the best you scored, I think, was you had higher odds, right? But it's more of like an assessment for them to figure out, okay, how's this person's hand-eye coordination? Are they fit to do this, right? I think that's more for them. But it's scary is because you don't know how well you did or how bad you did, right?
I did terrible my first attempt, and I was like, is that my only chance I get?
And yeah, that's it. You only get one chance, and that's it. You're done.
I got 2 attempts. I'm not sure.
Oh, you guys got 2 attempts?
Okay, I got 2, and then I felt better on the second one, but coming in, I was like, I had no idea what it was gonna be like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So okay, so that's something they added on in your application process. So it looks like they added more.
They make some tweaks. Okay.
They added some more stuff.
Attempts.
So they definitely are playing a little bit of the gatekeeper there.
That's
so. I mean, not in a negative way, right? I understand. I mean, everybody wants to be a pilot, but not everyone is quite cut out to do it. So they have to be more strict in filtering the process, right? It's just an extra guard, I guess, really. Which would make sense.
100%.
And I talked to some of the earlier cohorts, and they said, "Oh yeah, we didn't have all that stuff. You know, it was more of like, oh yeah, we just got a phone interview, and then we got invited if they liked us, kind of deal." And it's like, oh okay. So for me, they definitely made it stricter, and I thought, well, crap, this is gonna suck, but you know, this is gonna be worse. But ultimately, it wasn't really bad. There's a reason why I'm here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think after that, my first time my application actually didn't go through. I got the response within a week after they processed it, after it said it was in review, and first time no longer in consideration. But the second time I reapplied because I didn't make it to the phone interview, so I didn't have to do the 6-month wait period to reapply again. So I was able to apply in the June application. Mm-hmm. But second time around, and I talked to the TA again, he saw my results. He's like, hey, we had some changes in the company. He goes, a lot of applications, I guess, got messed up, and apparently mine did. So he said, just start over again. You're fine. Like, we don't see anything really wrong. So just do it again. So I did. And everything went fine on the second attempt. So after I went through the whole thing all over again, and I think I even did better on the scoring, at least the personality, the academic test too. Like there was some, I think, because they had like this academic test, like certain patterns he did. So did you do like the triangles and circles and squares and rectangles, like in certain patterns and shapes or whatever?
No, I had no idea what you're talking about.
Dang.
Didn't go through that.
Yeah, that's crazy, because they also asked us some like algebra questions too, and then they did the personality test. That's what I remember.
Okay.
So it was like the math one, and then
it
was like a match test, but put certain patterns and shapes. I don't know what that was about, but it was kind of interesting. And
I can't recall if I did anything math related. Maybe some pattern. I don't know.
Well, so like they had these shapes with colors in them, and they said, okay, match these together. I don't know. It was. I can't remember. It's been so long, but I just vaguely remember that.
It was last.
It was in. They didn't, and you were timed on it too. Like they gave you, I think, like 3 hours to get it done, and it's a brutal 3 hours. I mean, I got everything done within 3 hours. I think I had 30 minutes to spare, but it was a long test. I mean, it was a lot of questions. Now that I recall, and then after that, then I do the personality test, and that was brutal. I think I spent like a good 6 hours, 5-6 hours, and I was brain dead by the end of it. And a little shook up, because I was like, man, I hope I didn't say anything. I hope I didn't make it look like I was a bad person or whatever. Who knows? I'm just being a little dramatic, guys. But I mean, you're tired, and you just want to do the right thing, and these personality tests can be a little tricky,
a little daunting too.
Yeah, but I got through it, and then I would say about after 3 days later, after I had done that process, I ended up getting an invite to the phone interview, which essentially the way that it works is that you get your phone out and they send you the email link, and then they gave you some instructions of, okay, go into a quiet room, don't be in your car because it looks unprofessional if you're doing the video selfie, right? And they're going to ask you like 4 HR questions, and then one was telling me about an airline question, which was tell me about a time when you saw something unsafe and, how did you go about it, or something like that. And so what I did, at least for me, is because I was already enrolled at this flight school, I got in a suit and tie, and I went and sat myself in the classroom that had the view of all the airplanes, the entire runway in the background, and I had the desk in front of me, so I set up my phone, and I just had it set up, I hadn't. Actually, because it was an email link, you don't have to use your phone, but I used my laptop computer actually, and I had my webcam on it, so it worked perfectly.
There we go.
So I had everything in the background, at all the airplanes. It was cool. So I think it gave me more of an advantage, and it showed how passionate I was. So I wanted to use that to my advantage, and so I did that. They asked me interview questions, tell me about a time you did something unsafe, and of course my instructor and I at the time, we had almost had we had a runway incursion, not our fault, but on ground near miss over here where we had an airliner and the tower was closed that day. We had announced on the frequency we were going to take off the runway, and the airliner decided to take off last second, didn't tell us he was taxiing to the runway, and so when we heard that, we aborted the takeoff, pulled off, and the airliner, of course, not Alaska, of course, because Alaska pilots are usually better than that, I hope. And so, anyways,
We'll be better than
this
that.
airliner takes off. I'm not going to say who it was because I don't like to defame anybody. But they took off, and we were like, okay, cool. And so I shared with them how this happened. Both my instructor and I didn't really fully hear what was going on. It just didn't feel right, so we boarded, and I just said, hey, you know what? I'd rather board, be safe, than sorry and get into an accident. So that was a real aviation experience I got to share with them.
That's great.
And yeah, then after that, it was all other HR questions about how you feel about diversity and this and that,
Yeah.
and right, it was,
Yeah.
you know, they want to make sure you're neutral, you're not one-sided.
Good head on your shoulders.
Good head on your shoulders, right?
Yeah.
You're respectful, you love people, treat every single soul, you know, because we all have a soul here with love and respect.
Yep.
And if you do that, usually that is going to make you an ideal candidate for the airliner or for the airline. But if you obviously BS your way through it, they're going to see it. So don't BS your way. If you guys are very opinionated about one side, especially try to stay out of politics and whatnot. Don't get into religious or political wars. The airline's going to sniff that out of you, and it's really not worth it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all pilots, right? Love everyone, and just, you know, you're going to see all different types of people.
Exactly.
You know, we all have, you know, what we say, the image of God these days, and so just love everyone with respect.
That's it. Yeah.
Treat them with respect. That's what
Yeah.
it's all about.
You're gonna be an employee. Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we all want to be pilots. We're all after the same goal. And speaking of that, that's one thing in flight school is everyone, you're going to see different backgrounds at our school, and and you're just, I mean, everyone just looks at each other as we're all pilots, we're all in this together, and we're all growing together. And the thing I love about this too is we're all just building each other up.
I have my next reservation.
Oh, it's already 2:30 or 3.
3, yeah.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, so sorry.
Sounds good. All right, guys, we'll have to stay postpone on the next one. All right, guys, welcome back. Yeah, sorry, so we're at a really nice public library here, just a few minutes from the flight school, and so, anyways, we had the study room we had to book, and unfortunately, we didn't realize we ran out of time for the study room. It's very popular around here, and so especially if you guys end up coming to training here, you're going to be most likely studying in these study rooms here because it's a good place. And, you only have so much, so many places to go study at, of course. So, anyways, so I think where we were just leaving off was
You had your phone
the
call.
video. Yeah, the video interview. So speaking of the video interview, just to give it one more rundown over here, there's nobody talking to you on the other side, so you're getting asked a series of questions on the video link. So it'll ask you this question, and it'll give you like 3 minutes to answer the question, and then so of course you'll look at yourself, and you get like 3 attempts to answer the question correctly for each question, each video.
I
They're all
remember-
separate clips.
I came in stressing about that virtual interview. I was like, what is it just going to be? As soon as I turn on my camera, I'm going to be recorded? No, you get 3 attempts. You get to see the question before you even
Right.
formulate your response. And yeah, so very thorough, dressing nice, and yeah, this is really just making sure you got a good head on your shoulders. And
Yeah, no, so
that was fun.
yeah, no, it was just, yeah, no, and I remember also it was in the middle of summer too, up in classroom 2, and it was so hot up there, and I was sweating bullets because there's no AC in that room because the building's kind of old and whatnot, so it was a little brutal. I was trying to wipe a little bit of sweat while I'm in the hot suit over here, and next door to the chief's office, and of course the walls are thin, of course
Yep.
they're like
Yep.
eavesdropping and
Right.
how I'm doing this, whatever.
That's hilarious.
So anyways, but no, the phone stuff, the 5 questions, I think I got it done in 30 minutes because I just took my time
Yeah.
to just think about the questions and how to answer professionally and
Absolutely.
short and concise and whatnot. So yeah, it was yeah, no, it was absolutely not too bad. It was pretty straightforward, nothing tricky, right? But just
there's definitely interview questions just to think about and prepare for.
Yep.
There's nothing absolutely wrong with that, right? You don't want to come in and talk in like some Joe Schmo over here, but you want to be professional.
Yeah,
So
come in professional, come in clean, and yeah, have a good head on your shoulders. That's about it for that virtual interview.
yeah. And speaking of, I've got some really good friends of mine who, are doing business. I got a buddy of mine who sells, technology. Obviously to the government, but I'm not going to say who it is, right? Because that's confidential here. But very business oriented, really good with just working in a conference professional environment, especially interviews, because he's involved in the hiring process with this company. So he offered to do a mock interview.
That would be
Right?
helpful.
So I set him the questions of what the whole process is with the airlines, and so he was able to do his research and figure out what kind of questions that airlines would generally ask. And then another really good friend of mine, he has his private pilot license, had a really nice RB-7 airplane, and so he does a lot of business consulting and whatnot. So he also got involved. So both of them got to sit across from me. We were all in suit and ties, of course, just doing the mock interview here. And so they asked me a lot of good questions, and honestly, it took some of the nerves off for sure. It just helped me get used to being in the interview environment, right? Because how often do we do job interviews? Not very often. So it's a nerve-wracking environment to be into, right? Because the first thing you're thinking about is, well, I could screw this up. What if they don't like me, right? You have all these questions going through your head. Did I do good? Did I not do good?
Yeah.
You get it. So I think doing that mock interview certainly helped, because then I got all my goofs, at least the majority of it, out of my system or whatever.
Yeah, good.
Or mistakes, should I say.
Yeah, good thorough interview prep, highly recommended, even for that virtual interview. Just formulate your words, be
Yeah.
slow, and just conversation at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
So, and obviously when you guys do the phone interview too, or the video interview, I'm just gonna say video. I'm gonna stop saying phone because you don't have to use your phone for this.
Virtual interview.
Virtual interview, yes. Thank you. So I wrote down my questions, I think,
That too. Yeah.
but writing it down is great. But don't sit there and be like, okay, so you asked me this question, this is my answer. Don't do that, right? Just try to really just think about it, right? Because you want to be sincere as possible. This is the whole point of the interview, right? You're sincere. You're not just sitting there, trying to be scripted, right? I get, they understand that you're nervous, and that's good. And it's okay to be, have a little bit of that human side where you're nervous, right? It shows that you care, and it shows that you're willing. So that's just the nature of the game, especially at the airline, right? Because you're just thinking of, this is like make or break my livelihood almost, in a way. It certainly felt that way. I know I got through the video interview. I felt pretty good about it, and I would say within about 2 or 3 days, I got an email from Alaska. It says, congratulations, I'd like to invite you to the in-person interview. And I started freaking out. I was like shaking and shuddering. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah, I
can't
saw
believe
that,
that's
in
happening.
that video you posted. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think, and at that time I started sharing with you guys on just, okay, here's what I did today, and I'll let you guys know in that process. And I think at that time, that's when you started to watch my stuff.
Yeah, a bit prior to you getting accepted. Yeah. That's funny.
I was gonna say, so with you, so how did your virtual interview, go?
My virtual interview, yeah, like I said, just same thing. I think I had 5 questions. I think you mentioned you had 4.
Yeah, nothing crazy, right?
Yeah, it was just personal questions. One's about diversity, one about something safety-wise. Know the
The core values too. What did
Core
they mean?
values.
That's right. Yes, that came back. But
know your airline that you are applying for. There's going to be core values. Alaska is safety, so they want to see that.
Right.
Yeah, just one of the questions I was asked was, demonstrate a time you promoted safety, noticed something was unsafe.
that's right.
So really show those core values. Show you are a perfect candidate for this airline.
Yeah.
My example was I was a former lifeguard, and just promoting safety, like safety is first. There's nothing else after safety is. You can't follow through.
Dude, amen to that. Yeah, no,
Core values.
Thank you for bringing that up. That it finally clicked. So you see, guys, it's been a couple years, so a lot of the stuff I did forget, but the fact that you brought it up, it kind of triggered that memory now. So actually, I remember the 5 core values actually. Actually, I think Alaska took one down now, but what I remember was it was own safety, be kind, be remarkable. What was that other one? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. So yeah, it was be remarkable.
I just know
And
safety
then-
is number one.
Yeah.
Is anything else after that? Yeah.
Well, own safety was the way it was worded.
Own safety, that's right.
Yeah. So, gosh, I used to remember. I thought I had it
I
all.
wonder if the specific question was like, out of these values, which one's the most important?
Which
I
one
think
was
in-
most important? And
in
so they
person
asked me
interview
which of
they
the 5 core values were most important. I definitely said own safety, right?
Yeah.
Because without safety, right, safety of flight. If I was the pilot in command, right, and if we didn't get to our place safely and we ended up going down for whatever reason, right, then the rest is irrelevant at that point, right? Because we're all, not to be dramatic here, but dead. So
Flying an airplane.
exactly. So
Thousands.
own safety has to
Yeah.
come first. Safety is number one priority, especially in aviation, guys. So when you get into flight training, safety is number one, right? Even when you go to take your check ride for your private pilot, instrument, commercial, doesn't matter what rating, safety is always number one. Even if you are going to fail a check ride, safety is always priority. That's going to say a lot more about you as a person, and also as a paying passenger. Our passengers care that we're going to get to our destination safely and be able to get to see our families and friends again, our loved ones, which is important, right? And then also get to see the fun places that we want to go to,
Exactly.
or just simply when you just want to get home. So, yeah, own safety. That's definitely a big one. But, anyways, you know, what'll be funny is after this video's over, I'll probably remember the last 2.
Probably.
Well, now it'll be down to
One or
1.
two, yeah.
So yeah, just what own safety, be kind-hearted, be remarkable. I know that was a big one, but it's always that one that always gets me. But
All in all, know who you're applying for, know what you need to bring to that table.
yeah, no, exactly. And every airline's going to have their own sets of core values of what they look for in their company, right? Their own culture is what it
Culture.
comes down to.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right, because every airline's going to have their own culture a little bit. Alaska definitely stands a little bit differently than what Delta or United would be, right? They're all similar, but they do have their differences.
Absolutely.
So, and
Yep.
just know which one is more for you, right? And that's, you know, what it comes down to. But anyways, the one thing I will say is, well, actually we'll talk about it, you know, further down here. So now we get to the final interview process. So yeah, within a couple days, I got invited to the in-person interview. So they flew me up to Seattle. They booked me a hotel there the night before the interview, which was great. Didn't have to pay a single cent for it, of course. And yeah, that was a crazy day. I just remember I think I was doing some work that day, and my phone went off, and I pulled it up, and I damn near collapsed because I was like, oh, I can't believe this is actually happening. And so I talked to a couple of airline pilot friends of mine, and they said, hey, if you got invited to the in-person interview, it means that you've already got the job. Just they want to get to know who you are in person, face to face.
Yeah.
And if you say something stupid or whatever, right, or if it's just so close, like with other people, depending on how many other people you're competing with. I think there were 7 slots open, and there was 10 of us that went to the in-person interview. And yeah, no, I mean, 3 are gonna have to walk away, just DQ'd, or just not gonna be able to get in. So there was definitely some nerves there, but you know, our odds were pretty high, and so
Yep.
yeah, no, I got to so a couple weeks later, yeah, that's when I had the in-person interview, and luckily, because I was already training at the very flight school that they send all their students to, I got to meet all the TAs, including the chief pilot himself, which was just absolutely crazy. Well, and the thing is, I remember I was doing my pre-flight on the computer at the school, and I was in pilot uniform, traditional pilot uniform.
Yeah.
And you know, and I had the student pilot epaulets and all that. I know some of you guys think that's kind of too much for a student pilot getting his private pilot license, but you know, at the end of the day, I don't really care if what people think. It's a professionalism thing. It's not because I'm here to show off or whatever. That's it's just part of the game. But however, I was doing that, and even though the lobby was all busy, and I saw a couple of TAs, Romeo and Ahmed, and then Captain Ron Lyons, which I didn't know was the chief pilot at the time, for the Seattle branch at least, but it's on the computer. He comes walking in through all the noise in the lobby, and he looks right at me. He's just locked on, and I'm like, did I do something? And I'm just like typing, and I look back up, and he's still walking towards me. I'm was like, huh. And then he comes up, he's like, young man, I like your professional attire. And I go, thanks. He goes, oh, I'm Ron, by the way. And I go, Ron, nice to meet you. He goes, what's your name, son? And I go, I'm Scott. He goes, Scott, nice to meet you. He goes, are you in the SEM program? And I go, no, sir. And he goes, did you apply? And I go, yeah, I got an interview with you in a couple weeks. And he goes, well, I look forward to seeing you there. I said, likewise. And he goes, by the way, you're a private pilot? And he goes, I like that. That professionalism, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we want here.
Always watching. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So it made me smile. And then my buddy Dallas comes up and he's like, dude, do you know who you just shook hands with? I go, no. And he goes, just the chief pilot of Alaska. I'm like, oh, gosh. And I was like shaking at that point. And he goes, dude, you created a good impression. That's going to get you in.
Right there.
I was like, oh my gosh, dude. I was freaking out at that point.
Yeah.
So
Like,
the timing couldn't have been any better. It was absolutely crazy. No, I'm glad that all worked out.
Yep.
So-
Always watching, it seems.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, and so I don't think Romeo wasn't there because he's in PDP, but he was originally one of the TAs. But we have Ahmed, we have Jessica. Yeah, and so Ahmed already knew me because him and I had been chatting a bunch,
Right.
and I've been updating him on my progress. It's like, oh yeah, man, that's awesome. And he was just really good support, really good attitude. Really love that guy too. He was great. And so, anyways, we get up to Seattle, and the next morning, get all suited up, and then we just hop on the shuttle. We go to. Did they put you in the DoubleTree, by the way, too?
No, actually,
Or did you just drive? Oh, you just drove because you lived up there. That's right. Because I didn't, because I lived here. So.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, all of us had stayed at the hotel. We just all hopped on the shuttle and we went up to headquarters right there, the Alaska headquarters, because that's where the interview was, of course. And everyone was in a suit and tie. We show up and we get checked in at the front desk. You know how they give us the visitor tag and all that good stuff. And I just remember coming through those gates right there. Was Romeo, and he's like, Scotty, my man. And I go, Romeo, what's up, buddy? And it was all good. Everyone's there. And then Ahmed was like, Scotty, my man, what's up? And I was like, dude, Ahmed, what's up, buddy? So we were all just happy. And I was like, I don't know. My nerves went down just seeing that. I was like, you know what, this is gonna be a great day. And I was just actually, honestly, I was more excited than I was nervous, just because I made it this far, and getting into an interview was a huge stepping stone. And that's how I looked at it, was just trying to shake off the nerves and make it something positive, saying, you know what, I made it this far. I mean, that's a huge stepping stone. And so I just had to change my mindset to that. And seeing them just really helped with that. And of course, who do I see? Captain Ron. He comes up, he's like, Scotty, my man, what's up? And I was like, Ron, good to see you, buddy.
That's insane impression.
Oh, we were just, and everyone's looking at me like, you know them? And I go, do I know them? Heck yeah. I go, they see me at flight school all the time.
That's funny.
So
that's hilarious.
it was.
Impression's a big thing too.
Yeah. So, and I honestly felt, I think this was my day.
That's great.
And so, yeah. So we get upstairs. We have like the little orientation in their big, one of their big conference rooms, which of course where we eventually had the interviews in, the panel interview. And so Ahmed was doing a presentation. He's like, okay, I don't know all of you guys yet, but Scott, I know you, so I'm going to use you as an example, in part of the class. And I thought, oh, this is sweet. He singled me out. I like how he's just looking at me on this one. This is great. And so it felt like I had more of an advantage at that point. And so went through the presentation, it was all good. We were laughing and joking a little bit too, some good humor. It was just good times. Then we had to do that cognitive test again.
That was brutal.
The joystick one too, where you had to hold the ball. It was like on this little bowl, and you had to hold, and your forearm was getting
You did
tired.
that before?
Yeah, so in the orientation, we had, in that classroom, or the conference room.
We only did it once after my interview, and then I got booted out of there. I was okay, yeah. We did that one time. I did it after my interview. I was the first one to do it.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
Yeah, that.
Dude, your arm was getting tired because you're sitting there trying to teeter it, and the bowl would tip, and they wanted to see how fast your reflexes were.
Plate. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
It's like a video game. That's basically all it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was brutal. My arm was hurting by the end, and everyone was complaining about it. But I saw everyone else struggling, and of course, not to try to, put anybody down, but I was like seeing them struggling. I was like, okay, at least I did better, so that gives me an advantage. And I'm just like, okay, cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that helped. And then, of course, after the presentation was over, we all got, sit out in the upstairs lobby, and they had the little cappuccino machine or whatever, this fancy. Dude, that thing was so cool. so we get out there. We had little couches and coffee tables out there to hang out, and essentially the interview process is about 45 minutes long. And so there's 10 of us. So people who are last in line obviously have to wait there all day, which sucks. And I thought, I'll probably be somewhere in the middle or whatever. I don't care, right? And maybe by then my nerves will be calm. Well, I thought, we'll get a cappuccino. A couple of the guys, I'd seen them before, so I said, hey, let's go get a cappuccino. Let's just hang out. Let's chill, right? We're fine. We're good. We made it this far. We're good. And they're like, yeah, let's do that. So we go to get ourselves a cappuccino, and Ron comes out, and he's like, Scott. I was like, what? He's like, you're first. I'm like, what? And then everyone's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's my exact situation. Yeah.
You were first too?
I was first as well.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Only thing about that was I couldn't make any contacts. They didn't want me after the interview. We'll
Really?
probably go through that interview process, what it was like. But after the interview, I was just booted out of there.
Yeah.
Couldn't give anyone else insight on it. Which
Yeah,
is
that's usually
good by them.
Yeah,
but
that's.
I was bummed out. I didn't get any numbers.
I think they're just trying to. I think it's just trying to give everyone a fair chance, right?
Yeah.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people, you guys might have opinions about that, but again, it's just advantage and disadvantage and whatnot.
Yeah, 1000%.
So, yeah, no, I mean, I got called in the interview first,
We were both the
and
guinea pigs. Yep.
well, here's the thing though too is being called first. I don't know if some people said it was in in order by last name or by first name. I don't know. I mean, first letters of my names are nowhere near the beginning or the end. So, but they just called me first, and I think that's usually like, okay, I think the more desirable candidate's going to be called first. I think. I don't know, but for you guys, any of you that do apply at some point, that may change. I don't know, but this is just our experience.
Yeah.
And but being called first was a big thing. Everyone's all like, "Oh my gosh, like you got called first," and I'm like, "Well, darn it, I don't get my cappuccino." And now my nerves like spiked up again. So yeah, no, So anyways, we of course I go in, and so we're back in the conference room again. They have this table lined out up against where the projector screen is at the end, and then my desk is in the middle of the room, so I'm facing all 5 of them.
5?
Well, yeah. So we had Captain Limes, and I know we had Jessica to his left. We had Kristen to his right, and then we had the TA, and then I think it was Alondra sitting on the other side there, and then in the other rooms was Ahmed conducting an interview and some other people. I don't know who else it was.
That's funny. All I had was Jessica, the captain at Alaska, the captain at Horizon.
Yeah. Well, Kristen
Yeah.
was the Horizon one, and then we had Captain Limes, who was the Alaska one, but also
Right.
chief pilot
Yeah.
for the
Limes
Seattle
was there.
branch. And
Yeah.
then, and then Jessica, obviously our TA, and then Alondra, she part of it. And then they had an intern there,
Right.
sitting in that interview. So yeah, it was a little intimidating at first, but I had all my documents right, like I had my logbook there. I had my all my interview questions, anything I needed, all my passport information, just ready to go, and I just had it organized. Just showed up prepared, had a nice sleeve for everything, a file, just professional, clean, organized. They really liked that, and so they started the interview with like, okay, so why did you want to become an airline pilot? So the story that I shared with you guys earlier about my childhood, I gave them that same exact story about the ear-to-ear grin, the power taking off, and they just started to smile, and I started to just really get excited about just sharing the 7-year-old side of me, and I just felt that inner 7-year-old child just come out, and they really loved it. They just smiled and they loved that story, and I could tell they were just eating it up and with just writing it down, and I mean it was great. And then I just started to settle in, and
settling in.
And then they asked me telling me about the time you got into a safety incident, how what was the outcome.
Yep.
And so don't go into an interview going, oh yeah, so my instructor and I almost had a runway incursion, and I took over and I showed him how great I was. Don't do that. But I did, however, go, hey, I don't feel right about this, let's pull off. And he said, hey, I don't know, I mean, I didn't feel safe about it, and what do you think? Right? And I just said, hey, what do you think? Is there anything we could have done differently, right? Because you're humble, and you're also you're always willing to learn and just to do better, right? And my instructor was like, no, you did a great job, good decision making. That's part of the pilot in command or PIC mentality. And so, yeah, and I just wanted to show I was humble, right? And at the end of the day, we're going to work as a crew. So crew resource management was the thing I emphasized, and safety, right? And I said, and talking about core values, I know you guys asked me this in the video interview, right? You know, what's the most that stands out to you is own safety, right? Because you're not safe. If you don't take safety seriously, the rest is irrelevant. And they absolutely loved that. And they said, well, that was going to be our next question asked, but you already answered it.
So you knew the answers. That's
No, they
that's
loved
like
it.
exactly what they said to me too.
Yeah, no, they absolutely loved it. And then I think, what was it? I think Jessica had asked me, so out of the presentation that Ahmed had shared in the orientation, you know, why did, you know, what makes a sentence stand out? And I said, well, it's more of it's a guarantee. I mean, it's a more golden ticket way of getting into the airlines without having to necessarily, you know, play the rich man's game in a sense, right? So you're guaranteed they'll absolutely give you a loan if you need to take a loan out for flight training, right? Assuming that you're financially responsible, you're not reckless with your money and whatnot, and at the end you pretty much have a conditional job offer. So assuming you get through the interview, you get accepted into the program. If you fulfill your obligations, you don't have any more than 3 check ride failures. I believe that's what it is now, the standard.
3 or 4.
It was 3 or 4, I can't remember. And you're moving through your training, you're fulfilling your obligations, and you become a flight instructor, right? You don't have to be a flight instructor for a job, but they prefer you do.
Yeah, that was a gray area for me. I did not know if they required that.
Well,
but that was just yes.
You just have to go through the training. All of our contracts says that
Just
you
gotta
just
get your hours. Yeah.
have to go through the Part 141 training, but you don't have to take the check ride. But of course, if you spend all that money, right, you
Yeah. Exactly.
might as well take the check ride and get your flight instructor
Million
certificate.
%.
So, yeah. But anyways, so you fulfill your obligations, you build your 1,500 hours. Most people go conventionally through the flight instructor route, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what most people do to get their hours, to hit their 1,500 hour requirement to qualify for the ATP rating. And so once we hit our 1,500 hours, then we'd call Alaska and say, hey, we're ready to go. And then they would just issue us a class date within, the earlier cohorts had 6 months, they would be issued class date. For us, it was 12 months. You guys is 12, are you guys 12 or 18?
It's within 12 months.
12 months.
If we don't get a class day, we are free to go. But it is still wise to stay on that line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, I think because the hiring is slow right now, that I know some of the instructors working at our school are signing an extension because as part of the process is they give us a $27,000 stipend when, at least for us, when we pass our instrument rating, we get the $27,000 stipend. So that's
Right.
money from them, right? And the condition is that we don't have to pay it back as long as we fulfill our obligations, and then we fulfill our 3-year contract with Horizon, of course. But we're free to go. But when we're free to go, that means that we don't have to pay back the stipend.
Yep.
But obviously, the loan that you take out with them, that's a different story.
Yes.
Anyways, I will say that. Oh gosh, I'm trying to gather my thought here. Just lost my train of thought for a second.
We got through it.
Yeah, so we got through it.
Yep.
Yeah, so anyways, we'll just go with that. So we got through it, and I mean, it was a great time. The interview was actually pretty relaxed. It was fun. It was more conversational towards the end, and we were laughing and
It was
joking
very
a little
fun.
bit. And
Very
so, at that point, you know, Captain, I was like, oh, we got to wrap up this interview. But he kind of looks at me and just kind of gives me kind of a smile. He's like, we'll talk to you in 6 days. I could tell, like, something told me, it was like, I think he wanted to give me the answer. At least I thought. But to be fair, they just have everyone interviewed, and then they just call who makes it and who doesn't get in. And so I thought, okay, that's good. But no, I told him, hey, I just want to thank you guys for this amazing opportunity. It was great. Even if I don't make it in, thank you guys for this opportunity. I mean, this is just
Great opportunity.
this is
no
great,
matter what.
and this is good for me to see. And yeah, just, you know, if you guys have any other questions, call me. And so that was that. And yeah, I mean, I sat on a bunch of very sharp needles for like the next 6 days. It was painful, but finally came that Friday. I remember this, and yeah, no, I saw the Seattle phone number pop up. One of my best friends was with me, and I was like, oh my gosh. And my buddy looks over. He's like, it's them, isn't it? I go, yeah. So I answer. I'm like, hello. And it was Jessica who called. And she goes, hey Scott. I'm like, oh, hey Jessica. How's it going? She goes, oh, I'm doing good. How are you doing? I go, Doing great. Yeah. Awesome to hear from you.
Exactly.
And like my nerves was just through the roof, and she
Uh-huh.
goes, "Well, I just wanted to let you know that I beat Captain Lives to the rock and paper scissors war," and I knew immediately right there I was in. And she goes, "And I get to be the first one to congratulate
Let's
you."
go. There we
And
go.
dude, at that point, I was like shaking. I didn't know what to say. Like I was choking up at that point
Uh-huh.
because I knew right then and there my life was going to change forever.
Yep.
I mean, I was just, yeah, it was just an overload at that point.
So awesome.
And yeah, and I said, "Oh my God!" And I told her, "You have no idea, like, what you just did here today. Like, my life is changing forever for the dream that I never thought the day would come." And she goes, "I'm so happy to hear that." She goes, "I'm so excited for this."
Right.
And no, I mean, just I was so overjoyed. And yeah, as soon as I got off the phone, of course, I started jumping and screaming and shouting like a kid because I just couldn't believe what had just happened.
Yeah.
And I was just in shock for the next couple of days of just like, holy moly, this actually happened. I'm going to be an airline pilot for Alaska,
Right.
or Horizon. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Down the road. Yeah.
but anyways, but
Huge.
yeah, but how was your process?
It was honestly the same exact way. Yes, some minor tweaks and changes as they do with as they figure out what's working, what's not working. Same thing with the contract too. Our contracts are just a bit different, but we still have the same promise at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, first thing was I applied probably last October as the applications opened quarterly. October, November, I'm not sure exactly when, but beginning of October, bang, put my application in. Yes, it was the psych test first for me. I don't know if I had anything math related, got that psych test, did all those questions, bang.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was about a week later, had that coordination test.
Gosh, that thing was rough.
That was brutal. Yes, like I shared, I felt I did terrible in it.
Yeah.
Did okay, I guess. And a week later, or I don't know, I just keep saying a week later, but I did feel that my application process was a bit long.
Yeah.
Had the virtual interview, yes, those 5 questions, HR questions. Yeah, just being personable, showing that good head on your shoulders, and showing professionalism, confidence, and being well spoken, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Virtual interview, got that through. Yes, suit and tie, camera, bang. Took my time with that. I think I took like 3 hours just to thoroughly give my best response possible. I didn't use all 3 attempts, but like I just knew like, okay, I need to show them like this is what I got, right?
Yeah. No,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, safety wise, yeah, I had to show them. Yeah, this is what I know about safety. This is what I will bring to the table here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just showing that you got a good head on your shoulders. Virtual interview, got that done, and next, hey, we want to invite you up to the in-person interview.
Yeah, I bet that was like probably like a rush.
That was awesome.
exhilarating.
Yeah, like, oof, let's go. Adrenaline right there. Dad took me down with him working at, as I mentioned earlier, at Port of Seattle Fire Department, right on SeaTac. He just drove me to work that day, and we went to Alaska HQ. My actual interview was probably like beginning of November, and same exact thing. That panel interview, went to a room. They gave a presentation about the whole program, what it looks like, what to expect, questions, and any concerns. Got many things covered, and yes, same people. For me, it was Jessica, captain from Alaska, and captain from Horizon.
Yeah.
Panel interview, yes, 3 people for me. It was very fun, as you mentioned too. Just kind of like rapid fire questions, personable questions about safety, about HR, diversity, situational questions that they would throw you in. So that was, yeah, it was honestly, that was fun. It was like a conversation at the end of the day. Walked out of it feeling very confident, very fortunate and blessed to have had that opportunity in the first place. And yeah, it took about probably like 2 weeks later until I got the call back, because I knew they were going through a lot of changes with the contract itself.
Yeah,
And
that's
we
right.
can go in a bit more detail.
We'll talk about the contract in kind of the next part. We're just kind of going through, your experience.
Right. So 2 weeks later, got the call from Jessica too. I was at work doing in the hangar.
And you were waiting for it too
at my
any
local
day.
FBO, yeah, I was waiting for it any day. No, the day before, got an email. Hey Connor, sorry it's been a bit. Are you able to take a phone call tomorrow at this time? I was like, okay, I know I'm
Dang,
getting
she
it.
called you the day before.
She got me She sent me an email, then a phone call. So it was
Oh,
like, okay,
okay,
that's just
I
like,
gotcha.
yeah. Got the phone call, even recorded it because my dad wanted me to record it for his birthday because it was his birthday around the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Jessica said, "Hey Connor, same exact situation." And congratulated me on getting into the program. Wanted to offer me a spot, and I was like, "Yep,
Dude,
I'm
that's so
totally
awesome,
down."
bro. That's what I'm talking about
Yeah,
right there.
That was
dude.
exactly it, bro.
That's
That
awesome.
was exactly how it went. But yeah, the whole process definitely a bit longer, and then getting information about the program itself and paperwork and contract wise. But yeah, got the spot. Now I'm here going through private, and yeah, it's been great. Yeah. Contract wise, that's a bit of a different story.
Yeah, so kind of just short and sweet here because I know we don't want to take up too much time, guys. But talk about the contract. So there's been quite a few cohorts in the last since right at the end of COVID is when the whole Sen Pilot Academy. I think that started right in the beginning of 2023 or end of 2022, if I recall. So at least with my contract with them is that one we got a loan if we want to take a loan through them or just pay out of pocket going through flight school. I had to take a loan because I can't afford to really pay this out of pocket, right? Unless this is a rich man's game we talked about. But I was able to take out a loan, and basically the contract states that we have to complete our training within 24 months, calendar months, of course, and that doesn't include if there's any setbacks, right? Because setbacks is just normal in aviation, and they understand that. So common things you'll see in flight training is there's going to be some inclement weather, right? That you're just not going to be able to fly, or there could be plane squawks, right? And what that essentially says is planes are down for maintenance. So I had maybe a month where planes kept breaking. Everybody's competing, especially for how big HAA is. There was 250 students I was competing against. We're all fighting over planes. We had 14 in the fleet at the time, and we had only 9 172s and 3 Seminoles. So it was just with 250 students, it was a lot, right?
Insane, yeah.
So we had all of us Ascend students, and then we had some conventional students, and then we had a lot of KAU students. So it was a lot. So I had those setbacks, and then of course check ride wait times. Those were hit or miss. My commercial, I had to wait 3 months. That was pretty awful. But again, the airline understands.
That's the history
that
of it.
the airline understands that you only have so much control what you can do, right? You can't control the uncontrollables, right? So they understand that. Control the controllables, but the uncontrollables is just what it is, right? They get it. They do progress checks on you also through the school, which is great. So they know what's going on, and they're pretty laxed about it. The biggest thing they want to see you do is, number one, you have to commit to doing this full time. This is not, if you guys are out there living a different life, this is not a part-time deal. You have to be committed to going to school full time. I had to leave behind my old life to simply do this 6 to 7 days a week. Now, obviously, the contract says you have to do it 6 days a week, right? But even on my day off, right, and I'm sure you guys in Alaska are watching this, all right, just bear with me. I'm just too passionate. I can't sit still. I'm sorry. But on my days off, my book is open. I'm studying, and I'm just glued or doing flight simulator, right? Or maybe just doing some other aviation-related stuff that's not at school.
Routine and habit.
Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I can't sit still. I'm so glued into it because I'm crazy, I'm a nerd, and I can't help it. So, anyways, that being said, you're gonna have to be full time, and then once you get through instrument rating, we were able to get our $27,000 stipend, which covers pretty much our entire commercial, right? And included in our commercial was our complex time or multi-engine time, and our commercial multi add-on, which was when we were done with our single engine and stuff. And then, depending on how financially responsible you were, right, you may have been able to crush it down a little bit where some of it can transfer into CFI. But that $27,000 can go by pretty quick for just commercial, and especially multi. Multi is awfully expensive.
It will be, no matter where.
But it was a huge help for sure. So, and the nice thing too, speaking of full time, is that taking out the loan with Alaska is also great, and this is included with the stipend that you get. Is that you can withdraw $1,800 a month out of your loan just to cover your living expenses. I know for some it doesn't financially make sense, right? If you own a house and you have a family and you got 4 kids or whatever, that's not going to really do anything, right? But luckily for my wife and I, right, we live in a a really nice little fifth wheel on a beautiful ranch, and we got everything was set up nicely, so we were able to live within our means, right? Not necessarily top ramen, but when I tell you guys, just expect to live a top ramen lifestyle for a little bit. Just suck it up, deal with it, okay? I will tell you, as quality of life, you're spending a lot of time in the books, you're doing a lot of training, it's intense, but also try to find some time to take joy in this too.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what I did. And honestly, even though I'm just a broke student pilot over here, I'm just way happier with the quality of life I have. I get to be home every night to my wife, and I get to go fly airplanes every day, and maybe not my favorite airplanes, right? Because we are flying in the training airplanes. If you guys are wondering, it's Cessna 152s, 172s. For the multi-engine, you got the PA-44 Piper Seminole. So that's really the training aircraft you guys are going to be in. They are old airplanes. They're solid trainers. They will get you to where you need to be in training, as far as that goes. And then just another thing too is just being financially responsible.
Yeah, that's basically it.
So yeah, and then at the end of the contract, basically our contract for us requires that we have to go through all of the ratings, and then for CFI is kind of a unique one. You just need to complete the 141 training. You don't have to take the check ride, but however, you spent all this money to do the CFI training, so you might as well take the check ride.
Might as well.
And then the cool thing too is they gave another stipend out where when you pass your your CFI initial, you get a $3,000 credit for your double I's, right? And so most people will do a flight or two and then take and then take the EOC, which it's not required for Part 61 add-on, but the school wanted it that way just to make sure that we didn't fail a check ride. They wanted to keep the numbers high, which our school they have a high pass rate, so they expected to keep it that way. So yeah, so I mean, just take your CFI check ride, just do your double I, it's worth it, right? Because then you're going to be more valuable to a flight school, right? Even if you don't get hired by the flight school that you trained at, just get your double I at the very least, and then go wherever you want. Or if you found a aerial survey job, right? There's a list of pilot jobs you can do that don't have to go the CFI route, but that's a whole separate video, and there's actually multiple videos of jobs out there you can do that, so we'll see. But if you guys want me to talk about putting a list out there and my own opinion, I can certainly create a video. Just leave a comment below, and I'll see what we can do as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so just long story short, and I know I kind of strung this out a little bit, but
Okay.
so pretty much they go through all your ratings, no more than 3 or 4 check ride failures, and you go and then you build your time, and then after that, once you get 1,500, call the airline up, and they will issue a class date within the months that they contracted you with, and you don't have to go through another interview. That was another big question I got asked about. You don't have to go through an interview. You're in. Once you're in, you're in. Just do your stuff. You've got the job waiting for you. And one more thing too I will emphasize is make sure your instrument knowledge is good, because when you go off to ATP and go off to get your training with them to get your ATP and your type rating, it is up to you to be instrument proficient and then current, right? So that's really your responsibility. So try to find ways to make sure your instrument stuff's there, especially when we transition to the E175s.
Good to know. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, so tell me what's your contract?
Yeah, as I kind of shared earlier, tweaks and changes as they develop what works for them, but my contract a bit different. Technically, I'm not fully into Ascend. I had signed my contract not until I have passed
private
pilot check ride.
Yeah.
So my situation is I can't apply Alaska Air Group Credit Union loans towards my private training. Does have to be self-funded. Doesn't mean I can go apply for another loan, but that was just the biggest change for my contract. Private had to be self-funded up to me, but I don't have my Ascend Polo yet, so I'm just working my butt off to get to private, finally wear the title of a pilot, and then time to rep Alaska. Yeah, that's exactly it. But that was the primary difference, exactly what you said. My contract was just private had to be self-funded, and
Sure.
I technically wasn't fully into Ascend. until I
But
passed private.
you got a
private.
CJO to get into Ascend,
I still
and
got
then you
my-
have the CJO to
Exactly.
get into Horizon.
Exactly.
You
I
know.
got my spot. I just gotta prove them.
Yeah,
Got it.
and the one part I left out too is, so we have a contract with Horizon, the regional, right?
Yep.
Because we all started the regionals before we move up to mainline.
Yep.
And so the mainline's kind of its own pathway program. I know you guys, just to save the confusion, right? Alaska owns Horizon, Alaska Group, right? They own Horizon, they own Hawaiian over here. But technically our contract is that we're going to be Horizon pilots,
Yep.
right, for the regionals. So we're going to fly the E-175 jets when we fulfill our obligations. Now,
Yes.
the earlier cohorts have a 2-year contract with Horizon. Now, I have a 3-year contract
as well.
You have a 3-year contract? Yeah. So we need to fulfill that contract with them. And once we're done with that, we're not obligated to pay back the stipend. But at that point, once our 3-year contract's up, we could apply for the pathway program to move, up to Alaska Mainline or go to Hawaiian. So they opened up the branches, which is a great opportunity for you guys too. So if you guys are wanting to go to Mainline and you guys are willing to dedicate your time full time into this is a great way to get into
Yeah.
the pathway program.
Any cadet program, but Ascend is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. You know, of course, anybody else in the other programs, they could say the same, right? I know there's like others like United Aviate, and then there was a Delta
Propel.
one. Propel, that's
Yep.
right. And then the American Airlines also has their program
Yep.
too.
I've always been towards Alaska, so
That's the
Ascend
way to
was
go. Seattle boys.
Yeah, that's exactly
That's what I'm
it.
saying, bro.
That's
Seattle boys.
Seattle
Blue
boys.
and green. That's
Mariners,
Mariners,
Seahawks,
Seahawks,
swear
go
time.
Hawks, and go Mariners. And well, if you guys don't like us, too bad. So
That's funny.
yeah, but no, it's. I mean, just to wrap things up, guys. I mean, I will just say it's just been an honor just being in this position where I'm at, and you know, for those of you in Alaska that are watching, I just want to say thank you guys for everything you do, and I'm just, you know, I love your guys' culture. I can't wait to see what the future's going to hold,
Yeah.
and I just love everything about wearing the Alaska colors, right? I feel like I'm in the right place.
Beautiful
I feel like it's
industry.
my calling, and then. Yeah, and then what's just crazy to me is this guy right here
Dude.
watched my stuff, and
Insane.
I didn't. And honestly, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't have very many views on my videos. My YouTube channel's not really the greatest, right? I'm not a big tech guy, and everything looked like I shot this video on an LG chocolate. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to get the point across, and my goal at the end of the day is I just want to help people. And here's the thing I will
Exactly.
share with you guys: if you guys end up getting in with the Sen, and you guys end up coming to Redmond, you'll definitely see me around. And I will say is, you know, everything that you see is the real me, and what you see with this guy is the real him.
I'll be here too.
I mean, nobody's two-faced. I mean, and the cool thing about our school too is if you guys do get in, is there's a lot of community, a lot of diversity, and I will say the biggest thing
It's beautiful.
that's stood out to me the most that I never expected with our school particularly is we have a pretty good community. We all end up becoming friends. We all study together. We all help each other.
Everyone wants to help one another out.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what background. Everybody loves to help each other out. That's the cool thing. Like, there's no school bullying or anything like that. It's just everyone's there to help each other.
It's great.
You know, now please don't be that guy to wear a traditional pilot uniform with 4 striped epaulets and act like you're an airline captain. If you do that, you're gonna get made fun of. But speaking of uniforms, I mean, just kind of stuff of bonuses. Yeah, we'll get these shirts, or we have to wear a traditional pilot uniform, which either. Right? That's what the school requires. Most people wear polos. I generally wear my pilot uniform. You guys seen in my previous videos, usually on my check ride days, right? Because it shows the DP that I'm professional, I take it seriously. And also, especially when the chief pilot comes around, like Captain Limes, every time he would see me, I was always in pilot uniform, and he was like, that's what I'm saying, don't
Yeah.
lose that.
Yep.
Because here's the thing you got to think about too in the aviation industry is if you're a jerk to people, that is going to follow you. People will remember you, even from 10, 15 years ago. And I'm not saying this because, you know, I haven't been there yet, but I know other pilots who have told me about this. Do not be a jerk. Because if you are a jerk to people, they will remember you. And that one person that you may be a jerk to may end up being a chief pilot one day for the job that you need, or even in the pathway program. And
Exactly.
that follows you for the rest of your career.
Yep.
So
Just love others. That's it.
And even if you don't like the person, that's okay, but treat people with respect. Be professional, right? Every day is a walking interview, and even on the days you're just not having a great day, right? We all have bad days of flying, right? Don't displace your anger on somebody else and whatnot, or don't project onto your
Goes for
instructor.
everything in life, yeah.
Right? Don't displace or project on your instructor, right? Don't be like, oh, it was my instructor's fault, or it was this person's fault. He told me this, right? Or she, whatever. Don't do that, right? Just you're gonna have good days and you're gonna have bad days in flight training, and that's normal. But always have a good attitude. Always just be willing, right? Because everyone's watching you. And also, speaking of uniforms, going back to the uniform thing again, I know, kind of all over the place, right? Wear your polos, wear your, wear slacks or whatever. Something. It doesn't have to be super formal or anything. But at the end of the day, everybody's watching you, right? Chiefs are watching you.
How you act, how you talk.
Yeah, and nobody's really made fun of me for it. I'm sure people probably talk amongst themselves. I don't really care. I don't really care about how people negatively think of me, as long as I'm doing the right thing, right? Because at the end of the day, people go, well, Scott's professional. Like, he cares about what he does.
Exactly.
Right? Because that's all I have to show for.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, that's going to say a lot about you, right? And then, and then those who actually are going to act, immature, irresponsible, 9 times out of 10, they will wash out. And here's another thing too about flight school is that, it's not for everyone. A lot of people learn really quickly. I've seen some people, not so much my cohort, only one person washed out, but I've seen lots of people who've gotten in, and this is normal too. The airline knows this. Not everyone's going to make it through the training, right? There's going to be too many check ride failures, maybe stuff going on at home. I mean, people wash out, right? Or they realize it's just not for them. I actually knew one gal, she said that she didn't want to do it anymore because she didn't like turbulence, but she left early on in training, so she didn't have to pay back a stipend or anything. But
Yeah.
again, I mean, this is the stuff that happens, right? So
Definitely know if it's for you. Know the training. Do your studying. Do your research.
yeah.
And figure out what's best for you and get after it.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, so guys, I would say if I were you, just to save the time and the headache here, I would say just review Fly with Trent's page. He's going to have all this information on, is an airline pathway program the way to go? Does it make sense for me? Right? So the answer is no, right? It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to become a corporate pilot or whatever, I mean, you can do it through the airline pathway program, but again, you do a lot of research on this, do your homework, visit flight schools, all that good stuff, but he will tell you all that stuff of what
Yep.
to do. Just do your homework before you go. Everything sounds good.
No matter what people say, like you just said, does this make sense for me?
Yeah.
That's the question you got to answer.
And also, lastly, just wrap this up. I will tell you guys that going through flight school it's a great opportunity to move forward. There's going to be some struggles in the process. There are going to be setbacks. You have to accept that. That's going to be a part of flight training. You're going to be pushed to your limitations for sure. And also, one of the biggest, hardest setbacks I think I've ever seen was I've seen good people who have, being away from home, being in flight school full time, right? I know you're away from fiance 6 hours away, but
Yep.
she's fully supportive of you. Is also
Yes, she is.
like being away from family or loved ones, right? It's hard. I've seen people get divorced, go through nasty breakups and whatnot because simply this career demands a lot in the beginning, especially. It's a big sacrifice, and I'm grateful that my wife, was very supportive of me in this, and she stuck it out with me, and because it's a big investment, but it's going to pay a good return. And
Massive return.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and I mean, you guys have to stay focused on this when you do stuff like this, and just know it's going to take a lot from you to do this, but it's not impossible. It can absolutely be done, right? But every day you have to be willing. It's a commitment, and one of the 5 things I've seen that people quit is, number 1, it's commitment, because it's a lot, right? Some
Okay.
people want to treat it more like a hobby than a career, right? Because you have to take this training seriously, right? This isn't some little mom and pop shop. Like, this is some real structured stuff, and it's serious, right? And it all starts with private pilot. Everyone thinks, oh, it's just some little, fly a little airplane and go fly around. Well, yeah, but it's a lot more than that. I mean, it's the real deal, right? You're about to become a licensed pilot here very shortly.
Relatively soon.
Yeah, I mean, that's the start of your career.
Unfortunately,
right?
yeah.
And so, so commitment. Number 2, it's money. 3, it's usually through, do you have a good instructor or bad instructor?
That's good, yeah.
So it's normal for some people to go through flight instructors, I will say that. But
Just know your style,
just
know what you
make sure you have an instructor who's going to help you get you there, right? You don't want an instructor who's a jerk to you. but you want an instructor who cares enough, right? Because most instructors are just trying to build time to get to the airlines, right? They're not. This isn't their number one dream job, but it's usually the easiest job to get as a first-time pilot job, right? Is to be an instructor, to teach students how to fly, right? It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of work. I'm going to be doing that very shortly here. I already actually did my first biannual flight review. I signed off a guy yesterday, and that was 2 days after I passed my check credit. It's absolutely crazy. But the good news is I knew the guy, and he's a retired Delta pilot, and so he's just doing GA stuff.
That's great.
But no, I fly with him all the time, and he's a great pilot.
That's
So,
okay.
you know, I took him up. I had him show me the maneuvers and whatnot, and I gave him some, you know, very nice constructive criticism. Say, hey, work on these areas, polish these up, but otherwise, good stuff.
Nice.
Just, you know, I don't expect you to be perfect, but I think you're safe enough that I can sign you off. So, yeah, great stuff. And then, just relationships. That's usually another one why, you know, most people drop out is because, you know, you have a spouse or a partner that just isn't supportive of you, that says, well, if you continue flight school, then I'm going to leave you, kind of deal. And that sucks. That's awful. And I mean, and that says a lot, but again, that's a whole different conversation, you know, when it comes to stuff like that.
Yep.
So, yeah. But anyways, I think that's pretty much it. So, you got anything else to add to our viewers? Any other advice you think we should share with them?
At the end of the day, with basically the gist of this whole video, yeah, just understand, does this make sense for me? This guy gave me exactly what I needed to get into the program.
Sure.
Just an insight, and this ask questions always to whoever you can. Everyone within the aviation industry is just kind of know each other in a way. We want to help one another out because we received that help in the first place. Got it from this guy. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Now-
very fortunate. Yep.
And I'm grateful this guy got to be kind of a student of mine
Heck
too.
yeah.
He's not my actual student, but I got to practice as a CFI applicant. And he was a great student.
Helped
so.
me to learn. Yep.
Yeah, and
Very
that's,
fortunate.
Yeah, so anyways, cool. Well, awesome, guys. Well, I just want to say thank you so much. I know this video is kind of long and had a little bit of some inconsistencies here, but yeah, if you guys give this video a like and give me a subscribe here, you know, get this video out. We want to try to help as many people as possible, and love to hear from you guys. You know, shoot me guys a message or something, give me an email or something. I'd be happy to respond to you, help you in any way I can. And one more thing I would also add is that I did just find out a few days ago that the Ascend Pilot Academy did put a pause, I think for a quarter or two, just
Pause
because
for the time being, yep.
the pipeline is pretty slow right now. So also something to think about, guys, is don't be worried about the economy and what's going on in the news about aviation. Aviation has always been growing regardless of the economics that's been going on out there. So people say, oh, well, I'm just going to wait until things are better. That's not when you want to start, right? Nobody knew the whole thing about COVID, but I will say right now we're still considered an up and up than what it used to be, you know, in the last few decades. So I would just say, just do your training now, because it's going to take you at least a couple years to get you, on average, to get you in position to where you qualify for the airlines, your minimums, right, your ATP minimums and whatnot. So if times are bad right now for the airlines, this is a perfect time to start training now. Get it done while you can.
Yep.
And that way, when things start to go good again in the hiring process, well, now you're in position to just get selected with the minimums that you have, and you'll be in the right seat before you know it. So don't listen to those out there that say, oh, well, I'm going to wait for the right time. There is no such thing as that.
One more thing to add real quick. Regardless of Ascend being paused for the time being, all the information we talked about today is very applicable towards any cadet program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
At least what I've heard. I know somebody from United Aviate. It was a very similar experience, right? Definitely different, right? Alaska's got its own thing and culture, right?
Know your airline. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, I hope this video. I hope you guys find this video helpful, and yeah, we just give me a comment and let me know what you guys think on what else I should share. And Connor, I'd like to thank you, bro, for hitting me up. And
Dude,
yeah,
congratulations.
Thank
It's so awesome just watching your journey along the way.
yeah. No, it's been a journey. Last couple of years. So.
Yeah. Now it's my turn.
Yeah, it's your turn. You got this.
I mean, you're still going,
Well,
but
we'll probably do another.
started.
Yeah, so we'll
Maybe
probably do
follow
another.
it.
Yeah, we'll do a follow-up video with this guy's progress right here. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Cool.
all right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Till then, as Captain Kelsey says, keep the blue side up.